Hey everyone, welcome back to the dad section. Today we're going to be talking about what it's like going back to work after baby's been born, and of course how you can manage it both at home and at work, because it's going to be a completely different life and a whole new balancing act. Before we get into this video, please make sure that you give us a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and of course subscribe, hitting that notification bell. That way you know when there's new content ready for y'all to view. So let's get right into it. So before I do get into this video, I actually want to make sure that y'all understand that this is purely based off of my experience and my wife's experience. Basically, our scenario is that I'm able to go to work, going to base every day, doing my job, and then my wife is actually able to stay home. That way we don't have to pay for daycare or anything like that. She is more than willing to work, but it makes a little more sense in our situation to have her home, taking care of the baby, and making sure that the house is pretty much in order. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I know every situation is different, and that, you know, not everybody is going to be in the same scenario. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I do have a list right here because I'm going to get off track and I don't really want to do that, and I want to make sure that I'm hitting every point. That way you're getting pretty much everything that I have to offer when it comes to my experience. So first, coming off of paternity leave, it was honestly a mix of emotions. I know a lot of people would be like, well, you got 3 weeks. I got 3 weeks of leave, free, non-chargeable leave. I am in the military, so that all of you that are in the military watching this, you kind of understand how that works. But basically, I got 3 weeks of non-chargeable leave, and I got to stay home, take care of the wife and kid. We got to kind of get into the groove and set everything up in our house now that our lives are completely different. But basically, you're coming off paternity leave, not maternity leave. I'm not a woman. But you're coming off of paternity leave, and it's a mixture of emotions because you just spent 3 weeks taking care of a new baby. You know, life's a little bit more hectic. Emotions are running high. Sometimes the hormones are not just crazy for your spouse, but crazy for yourself, because things do get a little different in the male body too. But just know that it's going to be a roller coaster of emotions, because yes, I was incredibly sad to have to go to work. It was weird going to work, and I felt like I needed to be home. There's no doubt in my mind that I felt like I needed to be home, but also there was a sense of relief, because even though I wanted to be there, life was still hectic. So it was a relief to be able to go somewhere else for 8 hours a day and just completely take my mind off of it. Of course, while I'm at work, I am thinking about it. You know, what's the mindset that I need to be having while I'm at work? Of course, I'm on edge, ready to do what I need to do to take care of my wife and take care of my kid and help home life kind of come together a little bit easier. But it is such a relief getting to leave the house for 8 hours, and it's not so much I want to leave, so you're not having to tell your spouse, yeah, I'm just going to leave. It's you have to leave, because if you're in my situation and you are the providing factor, money-wise at least, then you get to use that as your excuse to, hey, I got to leave for the day, darn, you know. It is a relief, but at the same time, you're having to wrestle with that. I know I need to be home. I want to be home. There's no doubt in my mind that's where I want to be. Anyway, so coming off paternity leave, you go back to work. It's going to feel a little weird, but just do what you need to do everything like normal at work. That way you are not making mistakes or messing up anything like that. If you have leadership and if you have a work situation kind of like mine where they're very understanding and they actually take really good care of me, then you're going to be set. There's not going to be a whole lot to worry about. They're going to understand. Awesome. But if you don't, I'm really sorry. I wish I could do something about that, but that's just not in my control, unfortunately. But if it were up to me, then it would be very accommodating to the parents, the brand new parents that have to go into work, and I'd be a lot more accommodating. So hopefully you are in the accommodating situation, but if not, just keep your head up, do your work, and get home. That way you can be with your baby, your spouse, and you can have a happy life. Now I'm going to talk about understanding Kai's role, and my wife's name is Kai. But understanding her role, and you need to be completely understanding that, yes, you may be the workhorse of the family in working terms, but when it comes to having to stay home all day, deal with, if in our case we have 3 dogs, so she's having to deal with 3 dogs, she's having to deal with a new baby. And I say deal with, it's not supposed to be negative, it's just she's having to have a handle on all of these things while I'm gone. So, brand new mom, we got 3 weeks of bonding, 3 weeks of greatness, but now that's over, and she's having to handle, at very least, 8 hours a day, all of this by herself. She's a very independent, strong, she likes to make sure she's on top of things. Doesn't matter how often I tell her, don't be worrying about this. I'll take care of it when I get home. It doesn't really matter because she's such a great wife that she wants to make sure the laundry's done, the cooking's done, everything's done. But I don't know. It's weird because it's all new. You want to be the providing factor for your family, both at home and at work, but there's some give and take. See, I'm already getting off topic. So let me jump right back into what I was saying. So basically, her role in her eyes is that she needs to be doing all the cooking, the cleaning, the taking care of the baby, the making sure everything's organized, everything's vacuumed, everything's swept, everything is just done the way it needs to be done. Now, of course, I don't want it this way because I want to be as accommodating to her as possible. But you're going to have to find your balance because I'll be honest, the first few days, the first week, 2 weeks that I was back into the swing of work, I would come home and she wouldn't have taken any time for herself. And that's because the cooking was done, the cleaning was done, laundry was done, the baby's taken care of, baby's been changed, baby's been fed, bottles are made, all of these different things that she feels like she has to juggle by herself because she wants to make sure that, yeah, I'm at work, but she wants to make sure that whenever I come home, there's nothing for me to worry about. And that's awesome, but I don't like that because I want to be able to take care of her too, and she needs to be able to, enjoy herself. So that is one task that as a couple, you guys are going to have to try to figure out with each other. So just make sure that you're on the same page when it comes to that. It's going to be a dance, per se. I don't know how to describe it. You're going to have to figure it out together. So in your role as the dad, please just make sure that you need to be as understanding as possible. A lot of this is going to come with being understanding, being patient. Patience is key when it comes to, adjusting back to work life and home life. And there's gonna be some arguments, especially a lot of silly arguments, but they're gonna happen. So I'll tell you right now, go to work, do what you need to do, and then come home. When you come home, you need to make sure that you are more than willing to do the dishes, do the laundry, and do all these things that she's burdened with throughout the day. That way she's able to take some time for herself. She needs to be able to feel comfortable, and she needs to be able to feel like she's able to unwind a little bit, because the last thing you want is to come home and she's all wound up. The house is perfect, the baby's perfect, everything's great, but she's so wound up and overworked because it is a lot of work to keep a house functioning, especially with 3 dogs, 1 big one and 2 little ones that just run around while she's taking care of a baby. So like I said, just be really accommodating, really understanding, and things are going to iron itself out. So I know I kind of already touched on it, but you do need to realize that taking care of a baby is a lot harder than most jobs out there. Being a mom, people say that all the time, being a mom is the hardest job. And a lot of people actually frown down, they look down upon that, and I don't know why. Because when I come home from work and I'm ready to relieve my wife so that she can go take a shower, it's the basic things. Go take a shower, take a little bit of time, just kind of decompress herself. It's hard because the baby at times, screaming, spit ups coming out of their nose, poops coming out of their butt. Everything is just happening at once, and you're catching this little glimpse throughout the day. All of that's happening with the baby, but then you have 3 dogs that are running around you at the same time. And I've got some pretty well-behaved dogs, but, they have energy. They have a lot of energy, and sometimes they have it really pent up. And so instead of going outside, they have access to a doggy door. Instead of going outside and running it around, they want to be right there in front of you. But just understand that it can get really hectic, and this is just a glimpse of what your spouse is having to go through this day. You're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on in just a short amount of time. Just imagine what it's like spread out through 8 hours of the day. So like I said, be very understanding, very patient, and try to just relieve your spouse and try to give them that time for decompression. Make sure that you're being as present as possible. When you are home, be home. I'm currently in the process of trying to leave the current base that I'm at or change my job, whatever it may be, and I'm looking towards the future. I'm looking towards, this is where I want to be. I'm ready to buy land, build a house, start to retire, start to settle down. I have a long time before I can get to that point, but I'm looking so far ahead to the future that sometimes it pulls me away from the present. So one thing I do have to say about that is make sure you're there. I'm doing a little bit better about it. I'm trying to focus more on what's going on because they do grow up fast. I know it sucks to hear, and a lot of times you hear it a lot, that they grow up really fast and the time's just going to fly, and you hate that. But it's true. So make sure you are present and you're doing what you need to be doing in the now. That's why it's good to take pictures, have videos, and write down what's going on. Just be there in the moment, be there with your spouse, with your baby, with your dogs, whatever it may be, but just be right there, because this time is going to go by really fast, whether you like it or not. So, kind of one of the last points I want to hit on is that at the end of the day, it is a team effort, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's 50-50, because you could have been gone at work all day and you had a really hard day at work and it's just been exhausting, and you come home and you don't have 50% to give. When that happens, it's good to have this communication. It's good to be a team, because then your spouse will pick up that extra 20% that they might need to pick up. So it's going to be more 70-30. And vice versa. You know, your spouse has been at home all day working with the baby and the dogs, cooking, cleaning, doing all these things that they just feel like they need to do, and they're exhausted. They're just pooped, right? So you come home and they're completely drained. It could be an 80-20 situation. Just make sure that you both are communicating on what your needs are, because it's not a 50-50 situation. It's we're on a team. Your teammate's down a little bit. Make sure you're helping that teammate out, because ultimately a family is a team. You and your spouse are a team, and you need to be there for each other. There's nothing more important than having that team cohesion, because without that, you're going to have a lot more issues. You're going to have a lot more stupid arguments, and you're just going to have a lot of nights where you can go to sleep upset with each other over things that aren't worth it. So just make sure that you are working together, and you're making sure that you're getting the most out of this situation. So I'm going to wrap up this video by saying the key to balancing a work life and a home life is patience, great communication, and teamwork. So if you can have that with your spouse, then you guys are going to do just fine. It is a daunting task raising a brand new baby, especially if this is your first one, but it will come in time. You're going to have dumb arguments. There's no way to get around it. It's just exhaustion and hormones and all these different things with life that are going to be thrown your way. But just know that it's going to get easier. Just start really work on that patience. Patience is key. I'm not a patient man at all, but I've been working on it. I've been really trying, and it does make life a whole lot easier. So be patient, be present, and have amazing teamwork. Once you get those three things figured out, you're going to have a wonderful work life, and you're going to have a wonderful home life. It's going to be balanced out great. But this is pretty much where I'm going to end the video. I hope that this has been helpful for new parents, and of course upcoming parents, expecting parents. So if you did like this video, please give us a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you know when there is new content. And of course, please check out our other videos. There's a lot of good stuff that we've been covering, and it's only going to keep getting better. But thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.